living is never easy after death. This is not. Um, and it doesn't have to just be death in terms of a family member. It could be the death of a dream. It could be the death of a relationship. It could be the death of your waistline. You know, it doesn't have to be a loved one. And it can be, right? It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So how do you go? How do you live? How do you keep going when you don't feel like it? When you feel like, what's the point? It's a real question, and it deserves an honest answer. So today we're going to talk about life after death. How do you live? I mean, really live when something you love is no longer there. Hi, I'm Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire, and today we're talking about living on the other side of dying. For those of you who are new to me, please make sure you subscribe to the Hot Mess Millionaire podcast. Please share this broadcast. Please tag people in this broadcast. Holidays are challenging for some people. I am one of those people. And especially if you've lost someone during the holiday season. So, so please share this act of love. Please love somebody by making sure they have access to this knowledge. Okay? So, my brother Tori transitioned from COVID, Christmas Eve 2020. It is now a few days after Christmas 2021. We're on the other side of Christmas, which was but good. I'll talk to you about in a moment. And we're moving into that in between space between Christmas and New Year's, right? And it's important to note that anytime you have a loss and you grieve, take the case that the grieving is a transition. It's you're going from what used to be to what could be. You see what I'm saying? And that is a very magical space. That's a space ripe with possibility. Now, it don't feel that way. Everyone know my opinion about it. It doesn't feel that way. But if you think in your own real life, when you're grieving, you're letting go of something from the past. You're letting go of clothes or relationships or teams or family members. I'm not suggesting they all have the same weight, but I do say I think they have the same process. And as I be with the loss of my brother, it's a loss for me. He's in heaven. It's his anniversary. One of my troop tellers gave me that. Um, as I be with the loss for the loss for me, what I'm starting to contend with, and this is why I wanted to share this with you, is even in the loss, new things are arising, new practices, new alliances, new relationships, new expectations, new futures that could not have happened if I hadn't had the losses. Okay? So I want to share with you a couple of things. I'm not going to talk to you long today, but I want to share these things with you so perfectly you'll be able to bring them to your life. If you could think of your grieving not just as a feeling tone, but a transition from the old to the new, you can always consider, you could take it in terms of from the old year to the new year. That's what I'm doing. And one of the things I'm dealing with in terms of grieving, aka transitioning, is grieving all that's gone, that used to be there, and making room for what's new that's coming into space. So one of the things that I've taken on in my own life is I'm committed to being a full-time artist. I am. I'm committed to, you know, being a creator, being creative. Okay, writing, stand up, television, the whole thing. Okay, and I realized that I haven't let myself grieve the transition from who I used to be to I'm becoming. I used to be an internet marketer. Now I'm a content creator. You see what I'm saying? I'm a writer, right? And I have to let go of all the structures I have in place, or at least most of them, that have me tethered to that past. And literally letting go of team, letting go of clients, letting go of social media outlets. I'm going to stream down everything. I'm going to commit fully to the work and trust God. You see what I'm saying? But I'm saying that to say that I wouldn't do that. I couldn't do that if I wasn't willing to grieve the transition, the loss of what I used to be to who I'm becoming. And I guess the real question to ask is, are you willing to let go of what you've had to become who you were born to be? And that's a real question. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And I realize that the more I grieve, the more I transition, the more I let go, the more room for new things, new people, new resources, new opportunities come to me. I I heard this song that had this wonderful lyric in it, and it says, "People will find you, but they don't define you, and you will find people who will help redesign you." And so I'm noticing I'm finding people who help redesign me, this shifting who I am for myself, and trusting that even in the sadness, there's good stuff. My brother Tori was hilarious. He was so funny. He was hilarious. And one of the things I wanted that I just didn't have the confidence to do, quite frankly, is to do stand up. Well, when my brother transitioned this year, last year was a shock. This year is reflections. I've been on the floor for a few weeks. And one of my friends, she invited me to come and do stand up in February. And of course, all my fears kicked in. Like, okay, God, what the hell? Well, I'm breathing, right? And then I thought about Tori, and I thought, well, God, what if one of the ways I can keep Tori alive in my memory, in my life, is by virtue of tapping in to humor? Because he was funny. I think I'm funny. I've done some things, but I've never really committed to it. And so part of what I'm doing, and because I've been grieving, one of the things that has helped me is laughter, right? So I'm taking on, okay, God, let me do this whole stand up thing. Let me give it a shot like that. Now, the thing is, I may be good at it. I may be bad at it. I don't really care. I don't. But what it does do is it gives me a new future to live into. It connects me to the joy of Tori, not the loss of Tori. You see what I'm saying? And that may sound like a little thing, but it's not a little thing when you have nothing to hold on to. You see what I'm saying? And that's a big, big deal. Like, okay, God, I'm willing to try to be funny, and write my little jokes down and go do it in front of people as a love offering to Tori, as a way of memorializing him, as keeping him in my life, keeping him real for me, making him real for me. I don't see you tagging and sharing. You're doing something weird. I know my energy is low, so forgive me. But please, please share. Please, Chief, please don't leave me alone in this. So, um, so I'm going to try to do it. Okay. And another thing I'm thinking in terms of transitioning a new life after death is new traditions, new traditions. So the black man who loves me, my him, that's what I call him, my him, um, he he moved in for a week. He's like, okay, we're gonna handle all this, okay? And he created this thing called it's too cute. It's called our first couples non-Christmas Christmas. Okay. So I don't celebrate holidays. It's not something I normally do. It's not my thing. Um, but he was like, no, this is our first Christmas and we're going to have a Christmas tree. I'm like, dude, I'm not into Christmas trees. He says, well, we'll get a Christmas tree to celebrate the birth of Christ, not Christmas. It made me laugh really, really hard. So he got me this beautiful little Christmas tree. I got to put little bulbs on it. And it wasn't so much about Christmas as much as it was about care. You see what I'm saying? I have a new thing, which is called, couples non-Christmas Christmas. And we gave each other gifts. Oh my God, I could talk about that later, but they're glorious. And he got Happy a gift. Happy's my dog. He's my Bichon. He's my service animal. He's my baby. And so I have new things to do. Like he brings me raw materials to make food. Like so he bought a new crock pot. I don't know why, but he did it. And he's teaching me. Well, he's giving me food to make stuff. So I made greens in the crock pot. I made black eyed peas in the crock pot. I'm supposed to make cabbage in the other crock pot, and it's just fun. Like, and we're playing chess. Yeah, he's trying to beat me. I don't know how I feel about that. But we're creating these new practices that have the holidays not be so sad for me. And we're doing it while I grieve. So sometimes I'm crying and he'll just hug me. Sometimes we're, I don't know, playing with happy and we're laughing. But it's a new practice that if I hadn't gone to the transition of grieving, I would not have needed his support, which gives me new, how can I say, new traditions. New traditions. And like he's threatening to have he's threatening that I'm gonna cook Christmas dinner for the entire family next year. I'm like, dude, you're ambitious. He's like, I believe in you. I'm like, get away from me. My point is that that's a transition. Going from being, I have to be alone when I grieve, to being supported while I grieve. That's a transition. You see what I'm saying? And that means I have to let go of something to let something new in. So I have to let go of, I have to grieve alone. And he's like, why would you? No, you don't get, no. And he's real gentle with me. He's firm but gentle, bless his heart. And he makes it fun. So I almost always think it's my idea. But it was nice to, he got me, oh God, he got me this beautiful, I can't show it to you, but he got me this beautiful, um, one thing he got me that was beautiful, he got me a family portrait of me, him, and Happy. And this beautiful frame is huge. And I've never had a family portrait. I'm like, oh my God, this is so dope. And that's a new tradition. That's something that's new that makes life after death purpose. It gives it, it makes it positive. You see what I'm saying? And then he got me this book. And he wrote the book. It's a book, it's like a cartoon book about the 10 reasons why he loves me. And I cried when I read this book, okay? And it was so heartwarming. I felt like my gifts were totally useless. You know what I'm saying? For his Christmas, I got him a nice thing for birthday, so he looked at the birthday thing, so I felt equal. But my point is, we have new traditions, we have new practices, and that's because of the transition, not in spite of. That's because of the grieving. If I hadn't been grieving, I probably would not have let him come over, given how strong-willed I am. And for him to come in, wash clothes, fold clothes, mop the floor, go grocery shopping, bathe me. All of that is that's that's a new future. You see what I'm saying? That's me allowing myself to be supported instead of feeling like I'm so alone in the world. I sometimes feel like I'm very alone. And he's like, you're not alone. I'm here. And so I'm saying that to say that the grieving is a transition. In that transition, you're going from what you used to have to something new. If you're willing, you can create new rituals, new traditions. You can let yourself have new things that you never would have let yourself have before. I'm being okay with, actually I'm actually starting to embrace the power of being in a relationship with a really extraordinary Black man who really does love me. And I don't know if I could have accepted that if I wasn't grieving. Does that make sense? Something about the grieving makes me emotionally open to new possibilities. And I think that's for all of us. When you're grieving, let's say you're grieving the loss of your waistline, and you're like, oh, wow, well, I'm no longer 25 and I'm wise. Can I accept my body? You see what I'm saying? Or let's say you're grieving the loss of a friendship. Well, maybe the friendship fulfilled itself, and that transition from the old friend to being open to new friends makes you reach out to new people. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm reaching out to new people that after I pray on it, I hear, okay, God, who should I go to? And then I have new access to new people that I'd never even considered before. And I would never have done that if I weren't grieving, if I wasn't in transition. I wouldn't be open to it. And perhaps the grieving is maybe that's God's way of opening our hearts. Maybe maybe the nature of the stinking flesh is to resist anything that we don't agree with. And I'm really being with perhaps the grief is how God softens our hearts, you know? At least that's how it is for me. That God is softening my heart by grieving and making me open and available for new futures and letting go of all the things I think I need to hold on to, and to including relationships, including life, and that the transition is required for the destiny. You know what I'm saying? I hope this is making sense. I really do. So I'm grieving, but I'm transitioning, and I'm purposefully allowing myself to move into the new by letting go of the old and trusting that God has got my back. If something doesn't work, I have enough relationship with God to know that I'm covered and I'm protected. And while I'm nervous and sad, I'm clear that God has sent me amazing support structures that are new to me. Like literally, I feel like all my old structures are gone, including uh, just old things gone, and God is bringing me new structures. But I have to be open to receive it, and I think I am by virtue of the grieving. I think I wasn't before, and I didn't anticipate grieving so hard this year. When Tori transitioned last year, I did better, but the truth is I got busy to manage it. You know what I mean? This year I'm reflecting on it, and I'm grieving in a deeper way. And grieving happens when it happens. And, you can't really control that. And I'm clear that there's life after death, and I have to be open to creating that. And there's a softening of my heart space because I'm present to how precious life is. We don't know when we're going to go. We don't know who we're going to have or who we're going to lose. And so I can't guarantee anything. But what I can do is be open to redefining me in this new world, in this, you know, post-COVID-ish world, in this new world on the other side of the pandemic. All of that, even grieving the loss as a collective. I included one book, which was like this whole idea of only finding refuge. Okay, hard work for collective grief. I'm clear. I'm not the only person grieving. Okay, and mine just happens to be my brother. Um, but it's also, I have to pivot and do something different in my life, and um, and I'm willing, you know, and I'm just my prayer for us as we move into 2022, as we transition from the old to the new, as we grieve the loss of the old dream or all the things we didn't get done in 2021 or what we expected from society or from the president and his cabinet or what we thought would happen in terms of global warming, like all the things, right? All the things that we grieve, looking for the gift in the grief, finding a way to know that even in our loss, there is something to be grateful for. I'm grateful that Tori had humor. And I'm grateful for all the Black men and women who care enough about me to even send a love note. And I miss him. I can't even explain how I miss him. It's not like we were seeing each other every day, but I knew he loved me. I know he thought I was funny and smart. I know he was proud of my education. And I think he would have been proud of who I've become. I don't know. It's a transition, right? It's a transition from the past to the present. I talked to my therapist about it, and so we've aligned on me just being present being present. And when my anxiety kicks in, just know that that's part of the newness also brings its own anxieties, you know? So make room for yourself, sis. Make room for yourself, okay? So that's all I have today. I don't know. I think I'm going to continue to do my podcast. I think I'm going to continue to do Facebook Lives on Monday. I know I'm going to shut down some of my social media platforms. I know I'm going to change some things. So I just want to give you a heads up so you're not surprised. You know, I just want you to know that I'm just, I'm in transition. And I just have to take it one day at a time, you know? So I want to tell you I love you. Thank you for walking with me. My prayers that you were fed by this word, this life giving word, this life affirming word. If you were fed by it, please pay it forward. If you weren't, then don't. Okay? And that's fair. I know it's not upbeat, or I know I'm not doing history and all that. I don't want to lie to you. I'm not able to do that right now. Okay? When I can, I will. And but know that I love you, sis. I love you, bro. I love you, fam. I love you, allies. Um, and I thank you for loving me and supporting me, and sending stars, sending hearts, sending thumbs, sharing, tagging, listening to my words, sharing my word, all those things. Please know that it matters. Okay, it lets me know that I'm doing something right. Okay, so that's all I got for now. This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. Prayerfully, this was useful to you. I hope it was. Okay, I don't know if it was because I can't tell, but my prayer is that you got fed, and that this can feed somebody else who is grieving something, and to relate to the grieving as a transition from the old to the new, like life after death. And if you can take that on, you'll start creating new rituals, new traditions, you'll make new friends, you'll let go of the old, you and make room for the new.